Hello and welcome to the Kindness Matters podcast. Welcome. I'm your host, Mike Rathbun, and today I have a really cool guest for you guys. He holds dual bachelor's degrees in psychology and health and wellness. He's a sought after public speaker, a self described nerd, and the founder of Grow Our Light, which is a coaching business. Please welcome to the show, Joey Natale.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me, Mike. It's a
Yeah,
pleasure to be here.
it's you know what? One of these days, I'm going to just do some canned applause, and I'm going to start sticking them in after I say that.
I
That
love
just
that.
welcome to the show, and then it's like, okay, hi.
Yeah, yeah.
How are you,
I'm
sir?
doing really well. I slept good, meditate, read. Today, I've only had two calls today, so it's been actually really easy versus back-to-back calls yesterday. So it's been a
Oh
really
boy,
nice, easy-paced day today, honest.
that reminds me, I have a Zoom call after you. Oh well,
Oh.
I have no idea who. Maybe I do. Oh, Kelly. Yes, Kelly.
Yes, yes.
I have a whiteboard over here,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I know. Well, it's so much fun to have you here. Now you talk about Grow Our Light because that's your main business, right?
Yeah,
That's
yes.
that's the thing.
That is my main bread
Your
and butter.
jam.
It's in my jam, jelly jam, PB&J time. I Grow Light is I love to call myself a mindset relationship coach. I work with nerds and IT professionals. And I do one-on-one coaching. I also do breakthrough sessions, which is like an 8 hour coaching session where we get rid of your depression, anxiety, baggage, trauma, all the things. Yes, it
Eight
is
hours.
powerful. Yeah, sometimes we'll split
Oof.
up into 2 days or one day. We take
Okay.
breaks, of course. It's not just like constant. it's
Constant coaching.
it's great. It's very impactful. That's why they call it a breakthrough session. I love doing it for sure. That's my main thing. Topics we typically will go over, depending on what your goal is in depth, is eating, moving, breathing, sleeping, focus, and celebration, baby.
Celebration. I like
Yeah.
that.
I like it too, because they're all very important fundamentals and foundational elements of health and life in general. So, yeah.
That's amazing. So, and you got into this primarily because of your youth, right? As you were growing up, you were kind of nerdy and
Yes.
ADHD and all
Oh,
that
yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. I definitely was a super nerd growing up, video games. I'm in this weird age group category where, like, I grew up where in the age where being a nerd was still not cool. And
Yeah, because calling
yeah,
yourself a nerd these days is like a badge of honor, right?
it is super cool. And I wear that badge of honor. And so, like, I am proud to say that I started to own that badge before it became really cool. And now it's just like, oh, this is great. I get to fully embrace it entirely. And it's awesome. And so growing up in that world, I was definitely not super social, afraid to talk to girls, and a lot of self-esteem issues, as I know some people I've worked with and fellow nerds struggle with. And so yeah, for me, it's my mess was my message type of thing. So learning to get outside my comfort zone, learning to talk to people. Uh, I used to date a theater girl for a while, and she definitely helped be a catalyst for that. And ended up doing some improv classes and learn how to think on my feet in social situations. Now I realize I'm a just kind of a natural extrovert, and just social skills come naturally to me, and it's a lot of fun. So teaching others to do the same, and
Yeah, because a lot of people are struggling with social skills these days, aren't they?
yes, they are. And I mean, everyone is, even if they can, like, the type, when I say social skills, not the people who, like, the extreme end, who are like afraid to leave their house type of thing. You have those
That's a
people
whole
who,
other phobia.
it's a whole other thing. Vice versa, people who are like, they can hold down a good job. They maybe have a girlfriend or don't, or a boyfriend, whichever. And they just can learn how to tweak and improve your social skills. One of the gentlemen I follow, I'm blanking on his name right now. He talks about lights. If you had a 10 out of 10 of knowledge, in an area of expertise or subject, but your communication skill is like a 3 or verbal skills of some kind, then your presentation of that knowledge is like a 3.
Right.
You can't communicate it. So like, learning to communicate and social skills, all those things aren't just for the people we typically think of as just like, oh, I'm nervous to talk to boys or girls, or like I have trouble holding conversation. It's really like, how can you really express what's up here in your mind out, and people can get it and connect with you, type of
Because
thing.
that's so important. Being
Yeah,
able to express it in a comprehensive or a a way that people will understand.
true.
And
And that's also, how do you express and connect with yourself deeper? If you, like, one of my mentors like to say, especially when it comes to managing one's emotions, you got to name it to tame it. Name the emotion to tame it.
oh,
Yeah, yeah, super good.
wow.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But and I know one of the things you work on, one of the many, is loneliness.
Yeah.
And there, well, who said it? Who came out? Somebody came out with a study
Hmm.
earlier this year talking about how there is an epidemic of loneliness in this country.
Yes, yes, there
So,
is, for sure. I haven't, not too well read on the topic, but I've heard about that for sure. And like, I think a lot of that came from a couple things that come to mind for me is, obviously from COVID. I think there's still a lot of people who don't come out, and it's kind of been more of the norm for that too. I think also, um, I wouldn't say this is part of the nerdy rise, but there is an element of like, we are now more mainstream, even kind of before COVID, of like being more online type of thing. Where I personally prefer being more in person. That's my jam. I love that type of connection still. But I know a
sure.
lot of people who prefer to game online. Like me, I would rather be on like couch co-op while playing video games together, because that's kind of how I grew up and I love that type of thing.
Oh,
But
sure.
the more common things is like, being on Discord and connecting. It's great if you live across the country, vice versa in town. But I think there's also an element of that too. I think also maybe more of the younger generation has kind of grown up with just kind of being on the phones type of thing, and just being more online connected, thus less interested in maybe in connecting in person type of thing, which is a one of the many cocktail factors that contributes to this loneliness feeling. Though you might connect verbally, but there is an element of connecting in person that the online thing
Yeah,
can't do fully. Those are
I
my thoughts.
remember. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Ooh,
interrupt.
go ahead. No, that's
Um,
good.
my wife and I have a home cleaning business, and
Mhm.
we were cleaning for a family. And I remember walking into, and it was during the summer, so the kids were home, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I walked in the living room, and there was a kid on the couch with a gaming console, and
Hmm.
I want to say maybe it was Fortnite,
Maybe.
but and he was talking, but I didn't realize that he had a headphone or a
Yeah,
headset
yeah,
on,
yeah,
and he was basically playing with all his friends, but from the safety and whatever of
yeah,
his own couch. I
yeah,
thought he was talking to me. I'm like, what?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, and he's like, I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, he's pointing in his ears.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay, you're not talking to me.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, that's, and I totally agree with you about the COVID thing. I think I was never like Mr. Social, but I
Mhm,
did enjoy going out and meeting with people.
mhm,
Um, our Chamber of Commerce, I was a member. We were a member of that,
mhm,
and they would have a networking event every Friday or every other Friday morning,
mhm.
and that was a blast just to get out and meet. And I have not gotten back to that point.
Yes,
I'm working on it.
a lot of people have it. I was speaking to a good friend of mine who's in Atlanta, Georgia. She was part of the I don't know exactly what she does. She's mostly does gaming and art type of thing. She's very heavily in the industry, and she said like before COVID, like, oh yeah, we used to have all these like networking events and events where gamers would come out like every Thursday type of thing. And she said it still hasn't gotten back to that type of thing. And
Yeah.
so I believe personally that it's going to eventually go more that direction. I mean, it's going to be a hybrid type of thing. The people who really want to connect eventually are going to come out eventually, who are used to that, versus the younger generation maybe are used to that now and they might not. I don't know.
Oh, you think that's more of a younger generation thing than not
I
getting
think
out and
I think a little bit, mostly when it comes to dating is what I've experienced. So mostly using more on dating apps type of thing, and vice versa, kind of meeting more in person. But I don't have a lot of. That's just my experience versus a lot of data to back that point up. So that's my personal opinion.
sure, yeah. um, so since this podcast is about kindness, let's talk about
Sure,
that for a little bit.
let's do
So
it.
where does all of this fit in? Where does kindness fit into what we're doing here, what you're doing with Grow Our Light
Mhm.
and and that sort of thing?
Yeah, kindness is one of the foundational pieces to what I do.
Because
Um,
kindness is kind of your jam too, right?
oh yeah, absolutely. I need to say it out loud to my clients because I need to hear it for myself. A lot of things. Most of the things I teach my clients, I'm teaching myself because I need to hear it again too, which is true. That's why I love teaching is you learn it once and you get to teach it and you get to learn it again type of thing. But
Yeah,
kindness is so important. It's free. It's not necessarily easy to do for people unless you practice it because it is an art and a skill and you get better at it type of thing. The kinder you are to yourself on a more regular basis, which ties into self-love, can be different, but sometimes the same. The deeper your capacity to love and be kind to others, whether friends or romantic lovers, especially. So,
yeah. Oh,
yeah,
for sure. Go
yeah,
ahead. I'm
yeah.
sorry, did I interrupt you again?
No,
Dang
not at
it.
all. No, you go right ahead. This is fun. I like the tennis match. So,
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It is so important, and I think. But you made a good point there, and it's something that I've never really talked about on this podcast about how the more you do it, the better you get at it. And it's like everything else, right? Everything else in life, the more you practice any skill,
mhm.
speaking or whatever it might be, gaming, for example,
Yes, yeah,
the better you get at
true.
it.
Very
No,
true.
no, not necessarily so with gaming or
I mean, it depends. Depends. I think of Dark Souls type of thing, and those or
darts.
like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, one of the more popular ones, where it's just like brutal type of thing. But then again, you do get better at it, and some people just get frustrated and walk away,
Some
and
people just give up.
they just give up type of thing. And I'll relate that to this conversation where like one thing that comes to mind that I'll share with you about this is like, how do you know you're on the right path to reaching your goals? Because there is resistance of some kind. When you choose a goal, especially when it comes to being kind to yourself, if you want to be more kind to yourself and doing that practice, and the deeper you go, which is an element of shadow work, you might find some things in yourself that you don't have a hard time loving or being kind to yourself. I love use to express this analogy a little better. Is like, let's say when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, sometimes your eyes like to dart toward the parts of your body that you're not super proud of, type of thing, body image type issues. And so we might look at those as flaws type of things. And an element of kindness is oneself, and also an element of shadow work and loving oneself is realizing they're not flaws, they're what make you unique. And there's actually those elements of gifts. Learning how to appreciate those parts that you don't like about yourself, whether it's personality or maybe it's your body image, you can then turn that into a source of strength. Now, that's not easy. It's simple, but not
Right,
easy. And it takes time at work daily.
for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah. And yeah. So, relating that back to loneliness piece, I, another element that comes to mind is there's a difference between loneliness and spending time alone. One is empowering, one is lack of love in a way, a longing or a need. in a way. And when somebody feels lonely, sometimes it's an element or a symptom of like they want more love in their life or more connection. Maybe it's a romantic somebody, maybe it's friends. And sometimes it comes down to lack of connection with yourself. Because when you feel
Right.
lonely, you're actually blocking, or maybe there's something blocking you're not aware of that is blocking you from being able to stand in your alone time, which is more empowering because we need that alone time to recharge our batteries. Even if you're extroverted or introverted, doesn't matter type of thing.
Sure.
Yeah. So learning to be alone with yourself and be okay with that is a healthy sign that like you're on the right track. And does that mean you're always gonna be that way? No, of course not. Absolutely not.
Well, and it's funny because there are a lot of people who are perfectly happy being alone, but that's not really good for our mental health, is it?
It depends. Like solitude is not good for you long term type of thing. So, more introverts tend to be like, I went to a networking event yesterday, and this one person said like, yeah, if I didn't work at this bar as a social job and got used to it, I would never leave the house. And, I didn't say anything, but in my head, I was just like, that's probably not true because there's an element of like you will want to connect. I love to use this analogy when it comes to introverts versus extroverts because it's about energy versus being social more so because there's a lot of extroverts that are quiet and don't speak a lot. So I love to view it as like kind of like a cell phone battery. Extroverts have an empty battery, and the more they connect with others, it fills them up. Not negative people, not toxic people we're talking about, but people they enjoy and connect with. Vice versa, introverts are more so they start with a full battery, and that goes down over time the more they connect and talk with people. And so they
Huh.
might need more time alone or with a select few of people that they can recharge on their own. And it might take them longer. Vice versa, maybe extroverts, they also need that recharge time too, but it's actually a shorter time, which is also another way of kindness to oneself and knowing your needs and self love type of thing.
And he brings it home.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah, I have never been one to go out a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like kind of like the pandemic just kind of gave me permission to not have to do that.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Um, but I do also enjoy getting together with people. And
Yeah.
uh, I think the first thing I went to where I didn't know anybody was really kind of nerve wracking
Hmm.
because it's like, okay, I've been stuck in my house for 2 years now, and okay, that's might be it. Yeah. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
you do those things, you do the grocery shopping, and you do
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
kind of thing. But
Yeah.
but in a social situation,
Hmm.
um, and and then unfortunately, I never went back. I'm trying to get back there to going back again.
Yeah.
It was a Toastmasters meeting. I was trying to
Oh,
get
yeah.
better at public speaking,
I used to
and
do
I
that.
knew
Good time.
nobody, and they
Yeah.
were all super nice people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I find all kinds of excuses for not going back.
Sure.
It's like, well, it's dark out and I'm old, so I don't like to drive at night.
Yeah.
No idea where that argument went during the summer when it wasn't dark out, but
True.
these are the things. It's like, I got that. Hey, that Toastmasters meeting is this week.
Hmm.
Oh, I think I'm fill in the blank, right, for whatever excuse you want to use.
It reminds me of I've also read some memes somewhere. It's just like the I don't not necessarily introverts, but sometimes people who are non-committal. Not saying that you are not non-committal or are non-committal, but it's just
Right,
like, well, why didn't you invite me to the party? Your friend would say. Well, I know that you're not going to go. Well, of course I'm not going to go, but I still like to be invited,
right.
kind of thing.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, it's like nobody ever invites me to their stuff. Well, maybe if you went when they
It's true.
did invite you,
Yes. Yes.
it's yeah, some people that I consider friends, even though I never see them socially,
Hmm.
and it's just through Facebook. I have in the past seen them
Hmm.
socially, um, but every year in August they have like this fiesta,
Hmm.
and I get invited every year. And do you think I've gone? Not once, not once. But if they didn't invite me, yeah, you're right. I'd probably go. Well,
Of course. It reminds me of something I think I may have came up with half of this. The other part not so much is every no you tell somebody else is a yes to yourself.
I'm
However,
sorry. Every
every
no you tell
every
to
time you
somebody
tell
else.
somebody no to an obligation or a commitment is saying yes to yourself in terms of your self-care, your time. So like this is kind of true for people pleasers. I'm a recovering people pleaser myself. So my clients are as well, where they'll say yes to a lot of people. Whereas they say when you say yes to someone else, you say no to yourself. However, the flip side and the balance we need to keep in mind is if you say no to too many people, you'll only have yourself. And that's where the loneliness can come in because you said no. Because then it's a matter of like, it's another opposite type of challenge where it's like you might have walls up and you like you're afraid to connect. You don't connect. And we delve into why that is, why that isn't type of thing. Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting a mini session with you
Maybe, I don't know. I'm glad it resonates with you.
because
Good.
that's really profound. That's really great.
Yeah. But that's the balance,
Sure.
this equilibrium like the body has, maintaining all the amazing things that the body does is also true for ourselves type of thing. Even the most extroverted person who goes out all the time, they'll get burned out type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose and I don't know. Wow. So yeah, I feel I've been on the phone. I've been on this call or this with you for like 20 minutes, and I feel much better.
Awesome. I'm glad. I have that effect on people. And
Bills
I'm
in the
glad
mail, right?
one of my superpowers to make people feel comfortable and just we connect and it's beautiful.
And that's kindness in itself. When you can make somebody comfortable enough to open up, and I realize you probably think it's part of your job or part of what you do, but I, just listening to people, and it seems like it's become harder these days to find somebody who'll just sit down and listen to you.
Yeah. I'm going to steal a quote from this recent movie I watched called Stutz. Phil Stutz. It's a great documentary on Netflix. Highly recommend it. Jonah Hill filmed his therapist. Super great. Recommend
Okay,
to the audience
Jonah
out
Hill,
there.
love him.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And they say in the movie, I recently watched it, where like, not all therapists, of course, but a lot of them say like, sometimes you maybe go to therapy because you want your therapist to give you advice and all they do is listen. But versus your friends, they give you advice, but you just want them to shut up and listen type of thing.
Oh, there's some truth there.
Yeah. And so yeah, learning to listen and just be present with somebody, it's a skill and it's an art. It's a lifelong skill. And
It
so
is
you told me like this is kind of what I do as a job. I mean, I'm going to step it up and say it's like it's part of my calling and
your
purpose.
calling.
Yeah, type of thing.
I would agree. Yeah, I had the poor choice of words. Forgive me.
Not at all. No, it's part of it. It's in the direction of where I am and going. So like, thank you. So
Yeah. Well, Joey, this has been so much fun. I really, really, really appreciate you
yeah,
taking the time. I know we've had a hard time connecting, and I'm so glad we did.
well, I'm glad we did too. It's been awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to have to, because I think I want to talk to you sometime some more about NLP because
Of
I don't
course,
understand it.
I'd love
And
to
I know
talk.
you're an expert there.
Yeah, absolutely, totally.
So maybe we can do another one on that.
Sure, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Okay. Thanks so much for having me on. Have a fantastic. You got any plans for the weekend?
Um, no, I'm just gonna do some cleaning. Actually, I'm gonna go see a concert. What the heck are they called? Straight No Chaser. They're just a bunch of guys and they just sing. I'm forgetting the word, that style of music that they do. A cappella group. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm not going to think of anybody. I know.
So I
Yeah.
sing that with a
Anyway,
friend.
that's cool.
Very
That's
excited
cool.
type of thing. Um, can I leave your audience with one question for them to
Please
ponder?
do.
Yeah. So a mentor of mine gave me this, and I love it, and I use it all the time. Now, let me be clear. You, if you're listening, you come up with a question. What is the one question, if answered today, would give you the most success in blank? You come up with the area, like maybe relationships, self, career. So we'll use career. You come up with a question. What is the one question, if answered today, would give you the most success in your career / relationships type of thing? Something like that.
Boy.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. It's a fun one, but deep.
Yeah. Yeah. And folks, if you come up with an answer or you can't come up with an answer to that question, but you'd like an answer to that question, all of Joey's contact information will be on the show notes.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming along, Joey. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, we're done.